Hello everybody, in today's video I will be conducting an experiment with my European fire ant colony. There are hundreds of them, each one armed with powerful mandibles and a venom injecting stinger. And the second contestant is... I originally bought these crickets to feed to my ants, but I then realised that they were about to go into hibernation and decided to place one in anyway to see what my colony would do. I have barely just bought them, and have only given them chicken for protein before, so I'm quite excited to find out if their hunting instincts will finally kick in. So without any further ado, let us enter the cricket. I dropped the cricket in, and it immediately began surveying its surroundings. It scampered around excitedly, and even began exploring the piece of wood that my ants were nesting in. It clearly didn't know how much danger it was in, and continued looking around, probably for food. At one point an ant rushed at the cricket, but it couldn't do any damage on its own, and eventually ran away. The cricket managed to find a cozy little gap underneath the wood, and tucked itself in to get some sleep. Unfortunately for it, the next day would be far more eventful. On day 2, I placed a dead cricket from the same batch into the container to give the ants a taste of their prey. I noticed that, strangely enough, the dead cricket's blood was beginning to turn green. I made a mental note of this and decided that it must have been the basil that they were eating in their container. Even as the ants began to arrive in droves, the cricket remained by its friend's side, staying absolutely still to avoid detection. Suddenly it barged through the ants, scattering them before making a hasty getaway. It climbed over the wood, trailing ants behind it as it made its escape. It then stood heroically on the edge, looking down upon the scene. This effect was only slightly diminished by an ant discovering its location, the problem fixed a few moments later as the cricket kicked it out of view. After watching the ants feast so aggressively on the dead cricket, I was assured that they'd acquired a new taste for a certain insect, and went to bed extremely excited. The cricket, on the other hand, seemed slightly traumatized, and went to bed with its head buried in its nest. Little did it know, but the third day would bring only more stressful events. At some point during the night, the cricket decided to relocate, and I woke up to find it being attacked by ants in the sugar test tube. This was more of a minor inconvenience for it, rather than a serious issue, and I found it preening itself soon after. I also found bits of skin that it had shed throughout the nest area, showing that the cricket now considered it a safe place. I watched it stand guard at the entrance hole, kicking away any ants that came near. After that point, it had no more encounters with the ants, except perhaps the occasional brief meeting, but overall it avoided them at all costs. Then one day, it went missing. A few weeks later, there was some especially warm weather and I noticed my ants come out. I watched them for a while before realising they were going under the wood. I lifted it up, and there it was.